Hey guys, today we're going to put on a set of bar end mirrors. We're going to do so with reusing the bar end sliders that come factory on this 2017 Z650. First thing we're going to do is take a 5mm Allen wrench. And we're going to put it in to the end of the bar slider. Okay, the reason you want to stick this in, we're not going to try to loosen it by hand. They use red Loctite on this from the factory. So we need to heat this thing up so we can loosen up the Loctite in here to get this bolt to break free, to get this off without having to pull the entire weight that's inside the handlebar. It's going to be a little noisy, so I'll fast forward through this process. Just a typical heat gun. If you don't have a heat gun, if you have a soldering iron, you can use that, stick it and touch the end of the bolt head. Just about a minute or two. I'm going to put the heat right here and let it transfer through my key to the bolt head, and that'll make it soften up. Okay, now you should be able to just grab it and pull it out there. And I'm going to use my DeWalt impact. And there it is. Alright, now that we have that out, if you don't have an impact driver, you can get what is called an impact screwdriver. And that's basically the same thing, you just do it manually. It's a screwdriver that you can put attachments onto, and you can beat it with a hammer, and as you turn counterclockwise to loosen, tap it with the hammer and you'll achieve the same effect as what this impact will. The impact, of course, is a lot faster and more efficient. Now, when I got the piece out, when the bar end came out, you probably heard or saw a little metal clip right inside here. This came out. That retainer is actually notched to keep the inside weight to prevent it from spinning inside the bar. You want to make sure that you put this clip back in there. You want to make sure it's also straightened. If it gets warped, if this weight does twist or turn under the torque of you hitting or using the impact driver, just straighten it back out and snap it right back in there. You'll see the grooves. It's pretty self-explanatory. Now, as for this, I'm going to extend this bushing part out here so I can mount my mirror on the end of my handlebar and reapply the bar end. This is the old bolt. Let's see if we can get a focus here. This is the old bolt that came out. This is a 6mm by 55mm long. I went to the hardware store and picked up one that was 10 millimeters longer. So you want a 6 by 65. So I'm going to put my bolt back into my bar end like this. Now, what am I going to use for a bushing that'll clamp on, the mirror can clamp onto? You know how hard it is to find 22mm on anything in the United States? It's very difficult. But you can go to your local hardware and get a piece of electrical conduit, which I have copious amounts of here, but this is 1/2 inch Schedule 40 PVC. This is 21.3 millimeters in diameter, so just under 22. And I test fit this beforehand, and the mirror clamps down extremely well to it. So we're going to take that and place it on your bar end, just like that. All right. Now, whatever distance you extend out, because this little piece of PVC that I've cut, which is about 5/16 wide, you want to cut this so that it is the same width as your mirror base. Focus. Come on now. Oh, my arms aren't long enough. So you see where the clamp is, and then this is the same width. Now on your left hand, you can get by with exactly the same width. On the throttle side, which I've already done, you want to make this just a little bit wider than this to space it off so your throttle doesn't hang. And I'll show you that side in just a moment after we finish this one. So for that to clamp on, I need 10 millimeter longer bolt, 6 by 65. Keep dropping stuff. We need our little piece of PVC. Now you also need something that's, here's my wife. Alright, so you take your bushing, and whatever width you decide to cut, you also need to space it here. And that actually ends up being, that's a 1/4 inch spacer that I got at the hardware when I got my bolts. And that's 1 7 millimeter washer, so it's a little bit of play. But the 7 millimeter is actually the same diameter as the original collar. So just like that, and then you just put it back in and tighten it back down. I'm not putting any thread locker or anything else on here. So I'm going to do that now. Alright guys, I about messed up and forgot a step. Probably wouldn't notice it immediately, but it would come back to haunt me eventually. My mirrors would flop around. Something I did on the throttle side, I took some tape. This is actually rubber insulating tape. You don't want to go out and buy this unless you just happen to have it. It's pretty expensive. It's just really thick, stretchy electrical tape. You can use any type of regular electrical black normal tape that you can get anywhere. But I wrapped the inside shaft collar and then slid this on. And that's going to make it tight where it doesn't spin. I forgot about that because after a while, this plastic might get, you know, with the change in temperature, hot to cold, it'll expand and contract, and it might begin to slip a little bit. So, yeah, you might want to wrap a little bit of something around that to just make that bushing. Or if you can find something that's exact diameter. You know, like I said, I'm in the US, it's really hard to find metric bushings around here without ordering stuff. Mirrors just came in today, so I was in a hurry to put them on, and I get really creative, and this is what I came up with, and it's worked really well on the throttle side. But yeah, I'm glad I remembered that to toss the edit in and put that on there. So yeah, wrap that collar before you put your little plastic bushing on there. That'll help the mirror stay nice and steady. Like I said, make sure your clip is installed. I'm trying to keep my head out of the way here. There you go. It's good and tight. Now we'll just clamp the mirror right down on that. Alright, so I went ahead and put my mirror on there. I loosened this back up just a little bit. It was really tight on my grip. So now we're going to tighten this back down and let it sandwich it in so it holds it nice and snug. Oh yeah. Alright. Now that she's snugged up there, finish tightening this down. Get the angle about right. Looks like I need to go back with it some. Now I'm probably going to go back and put some blue thread locker on the adjustment bolts. Get them right where I want them. Okay, and there you are. There we have CRG style. These are not CRGs. These are like $30 Amazon. Actually, I think they were 20 bucks. And they look just like the CRG. Pretty decent little mirrors. Nice clean look. And if you, let's see here, if I can get a good zoom. Come on, baby. All right. Now you see my extra gap right here on the throttle. I just made that spacer a little bit wider, and it's good and tight and snug. I mean, you can move the whole handlebars. So no need to actually get rid of your weights and create more vibration. Gratuitous shot of the R6 there. Need to do some ride videos on that bad boy soon, what do you think? And there you guys go. Let's say that you damaged the clip inside of here beyond reusing it. There's a way that you can still get these mirrors mounted, but you won't be able to use the bar ends. If you break that little silver clip that fell out at the beginning when I removed this, or if it doesn't seat back in properly for any reason, if it doesn't go back in the way it's supposed to, you can always take a socket or something similar that'll fit inside the handlebar and take a hammer and tap the weight that's inside of here back just enough for the expansion adapter to work. And I'll go over here and grab that. This is the actual adapter that comes with the mirrors. So you're supposed to remove the bar end, put that inside, and then tighten this screw down, then you bolt your mirror up. There's not much space where this weight starts, but you can tap it. Not hammer the hell out of it, but just tap it gently until it goes back that much right there. So you can slide it in, tighten your bolt down. Now, you're going to lose the bar end, but you still have the weight. The weight is actually in here. This is a little bit of weight too, but when you count the mirror and the adapter, you're probably going to come out just about the same weight as what at least these Kawasaki's weigh. Alright, just a quick recap on what we did for the mirrors. We put a 5mm hex wrench or Allen key into the factory bolt ends. We heated it up. You can do that with a heat gun. You can do it with a small propane torch. You can do it with a soldering iron. Anything to transfer heat down the head of that bolt to soften up the red thread sealer. Once we did that, we used a little impact and we backed the bolt right out. If you don't have an impact, you can get an impact screwdriver. I'll put a link to everything I've used and anything I suggest in the description below. Impact screwdriver will be listed down. You can get them cheap, $5 or $6. If you can't break it loose by hand. We broke it loose. We cut a small bushing out of a 1/2-inch piece of PVC Schedule 40. You can get that at any hardware store. I'll put a link in the description directly to, so you can look if you're not familiar with what that is. Small bushing, one slightly wider than the width of the mirror attachment for the throttle. That way your throttle doesn't hang, you've got a little bit of gap there, so that functions properly. It's very important. You don't want this mirror slammed up against the rubber grip or your throttle could hang open very bad. So we did that. We also used two 7mm washers on the longer bolt, which is 6mm by 65mm. Two 7mm washers went on that, and one 1/4 inch wide nylon bushing, and I picked that up at the generic hardware. I'll try to find you a part for that, but you can go to Lowe's, you can go to Home Depot. I got mine at Ace Hardware because it's closer, and you can get onesie, twosie bolts all day long, and I love Ace Hardware. It's great for that. So we put the plastic bushing, we wrapped a little bit of electrical tape or anything that you've got to What you could do is you could also split the PVC if you wanted to make a little gap, so when you tighten this down it really seats down. The gap's not too awful bad to be tied on the factory bar end. There's different ways you can do it. You just don't want that piece of plastic freely spinning on it. You want it to have a little bit of resistance, so when you lock this down it squeezes everything together. So we put that on, put the bolt through. I put my two 7mm washers on, my plastic bushing, made sure the silver retaining clip was not bent and seated properly. And once that was ready to roll, we screwed it back in and tightened it down. And you can see I can grab my mirrors and shake the whole bike. And I've went through and tightened everything down. If you want to use any kind of thread sealer, use the blue. The bolts here on the back of the mirrors would be a good candidate for that. This one, and maybe the one to adjust the forward rotation, possibly. The ones on the back, probably not. There's my wife. Don't forget the breaker from my dad's electrical panel. Thank you, honey. My father-in-law has an arc fault breaker tripping out in his house. I told him I'd fix it. So anyway, where were we? Oh yeah, blue thread locker. At your discretion. I put a little bit on this one here and that was it. Just the one back here. No thread locker, putting these back together because I may want to take them apart again, and I don't feel that they're going to vibrate loose. If they do and I lose a mirror, you know, it's $20 for a pair of these things, and worst case I'll have to buy new bar ends, which are kind of expensive. But yeah, there you go guys. The bug eye antenna looks gone. To cap the holes off, you can go to Advance Auto, Napa, any auto parts store and get a little 10mm plastic plug or a brake boss. It's 10 by 1.25 thread. Put them right in here to plug your holes and you're done. If you're feeling up to it, you can order the actual plugs that go in here, and they're about $10 for a pair of them. They're anodized aluminum. You can get them in multiple colors. You can get them straight from the dealer or off eBay. eBay is going to be cheaper, of course. So, alright, I think that about wraps it up. I appreciate everybody's support. Thanks for all the subscribers, the viewers, the people that have given me nice feedback and advice on things I can do to improve the channel. I really do appreciate it. If you have any suggestions on future episodes or things you'd like to see, let me know. Now, I'm also on Instagram and Twitter now, something I never thought I'd do, but I'll post the links up here and here. Alright guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.